This coin almost ended up in the trash, but when it finally reached the auction block, it stunned the world by selling for nearly $1 million. And the shocking part? It looked like an ordinary penny. A simple Lincoln wheat cent from 1941, no mint mark, no special shine. Just the kind of coin you might casually drop into a tip jar without a second thought. But this tiny piece of copper hides one of the greatest secrets in American coinage history. And if you're not paying attention, you could walk right past a fortune. The year was 1941. The United States was just months away from entering World War II. Factories were booming, money was tight, and millions of pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. To most people, they were nothing more than spare change. But deep in the minting presses, a handful of these coins came out, different. Mistakes so subtle that even trained eyes missed them. Collectors would later discover that certain 1941 no-mint mark pennies carried doubled dies, strange strike anomalies, or near-perfect condition that somehow survived decades of circulation. At the time, nobody cared. They passed from hand to hand, buying newspapers, candy, or maybe a cup of coffee. Nobody could have guessed that one day, a single 1941 penny could bring $1 million. Decades later, a man sorting through his father's old coin jars found a wheat penny that looked strangely sharp, almost brand new. Thinking it was just another old coin, he almost tossed it aside. But something told him to take a closer look. When experts examined it, they were floored. This wasn't just any penny. It was an ultra-rare 1941 no-mint mark, graded in near-perfect condition, its luster frozen in time. When it crossed the auction block, dealers fought tooth and nail. Bidding wars erupted. The final hammer price pushed into the unimaginable, over $1 million for a coin most people would overlook. One man's pocket change had turned into $1 million miracle. It wasn't just luck. These coins survive today in tiny numbers, and if you know what to look for, you could be the next one to cash in. But what exactly makes this penny so valuable? First, its condition. Most 1941 pennies are brown, scratched, and worn down from decades of circulation. But the rarest survivors are in pristine, uncirculated condition. That means sharp details, no major scratches, and a beautiful red or reddish-brown shine. Collectors pay extraordinary premiums for these gems. Second, hidden errors. The 1941 double die obverse is one of the most dramatic mistakes. Look closely at the lettering. "In God We Trust, Liberty," and even the date itself. On rare examples, you'll see doubling, as if the words are shadowed or echoing. That tiny mistake transforms an ordinary penny into a treasure. Most people miss it entirely, and that's why it's so valuable. And third, rarity combined with demand. The Lincoln Wheat series is beloved by collectors, and the early 1940s coins strike a perfect balance between age, history, and affordability. But when a rare 1941 penny shows up in flawless condition, demand skyrockets. Collectors don't just want it, they fight over it. But here's the part that will keep you up tonight. This exact penny could be hiding in your pocket change. It could be resting at the bottom of a drawer, waiting to be discovered. Every week, news stories surface of people finding rare coins in jars, estates, and forgotten collections. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Collectors are willing to pay fortunes. And the truth is, most people never even check. They let history slip through their fingers because they don't know what to look for. So let me show you how to check your own 1941 wheat pennies. Flip the coin over and first check the date. If there's no mint mark beneath the date, it came from Philadelphia. That's your starting point. Next, examine the words, Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see doubling or extra thickness in the letters or numbers, you may have a doubled die, a huge indicator of value. Then, study the condition. If your coin still has bright red luster, sharp wheat stalks on the reverse, and no heavy scratches, you could be holding a coin worth thousands, or even up to $1 million. And remember, the most valuable examples are authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A coin that looks ordinary to you could be a once-in-a-lifetime find in the eyes of an expert. Collectors were shocked when that one 1941 penny soared to $1 million at auction. But the truth is, more are out there. They're hiding, waiting, disguised as pocket change. And it only takes one discovery to change your life forever. So the next time you see a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark, don't ignore it. Don't toss it aside. Look closer. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But instead, it shocked the entire coin world when it was revealed to be worth over $1 million. Imagine tossing a penny into a change jar, never knowing you're holding a small piece of history that could change your life forever. That's exactly the story of the 1988 Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary that most people overlook it, yet so rare that collectors are desperate to get their hands on it. The year was 1988. Ronald Reagan was in the White House, gas was just 90 cents a gallon, and the Lincoln penny was something you barely glanced at before spending. But hidden in that year's Denver Mint production was a mistake. A small, almost invisible detail slipped past the eyes of inspectors. A detail so subtle, even seasoned collectors missed it for years. Yet today, that mistake is the very reason this penny can command a price tag that stretches into the millions. The answer lies in a tiny design element. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait, something was different. Instead of the normal D mint mark with its sharp, modern style, some 1988 Denver pennies were struck with an older style of mint mark, a carryover from years before. A mix-up, a slip of a hand, or perhaps just an overlooked die. But whatever caused it, the result was extraordinary. But here's the twist. For years, these pennies circulated unnoticed. They passed through registers, vending machines, and piggy banks like any other coin. Kids spent them on candy, adults used them for parking meters, and nearly everyone who touched one had no idea what they were holding. $1 million miracle, hiding in plain sight. Then one day, a collector spotted the error. He looked closer, noticed the subtle difference, and realized what no one else had seen. That one tiny mistake was worth a fortune. When this penny hit the auction block, dealers were stunned. Bids flew higher and higher, as collectors recognized the once-in-a-generation rarity before them. By the time the gavel fell, the value had soared into six figures, with experts later estimating top specimens could exceed $1.2 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread fast. This wasn't just a rumor, this was real. Suddenly, collectors everywhere were pulling out their 1988 pennies, staring through magnifying glasses, desperate to find that one little mint mark anomaly. Coin shops were flooded. Dealers scrambled. And ordinary people started to realize the penny sitting in their pocket change might just be their ticket to fortune, because it reveals something most people never think about. The U.S. Mint, despite its precision and history, is still run by humans and machines, and both make mistakes. Sometimes those mistakes are worthless. But once in a rare while, they create a coin that becomes a legend, and here's where it gets even more interesting. Not all 1988 pennies are valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth just a cent. But the rare ones, the ones with that tiny design difference, are worth life-changing money. Collectors call it the transitional error. The wrong mint mark punch used in the wrong year. And that one microscopic detail is the dividing line between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million. Now let's pause for a moment and think about that. How many times have you thrown pennies into a drawer, tossed them into a tip jar, or ignored them on the ground? Each one of those could have been the very coin collectors are now hunting for. One man even admitted he had been using his rare 1988 penny in poker games before realizing its value. Imagine losing a coin like that over a $2 hand. But here's the best part. You don't need a metal detector, you don't need to buy rolls of coins from the bank, and you don't need to be a professional dealer. You just need to look closely. That's the secret. The rarest treasures in the world are often hiding in the most ordinary places. First, check the mint mark. Grab a magnifying glass and focus on the tiny D just below the ear. On the rare and valuable versions, the D looks different, thicker, slightly misshaped, almost as if it came from a different era. This is the wrong mint mark punch. If your coin has that detail, you could be holding something truly extraordinary. Be careful, though. Many people make the mistake of confusing damage or wear for rarity. A scratch or dent does not make a coin valuable. It's the specific mint mark error that matters. If you're not sure, take your coin to a professional grader or trusted dealer. They'll know instantly whether you're holding a regular penny or a $1,000,000 miracle. Collectors were shocked when the first examples appeared, and today, the demand is only growing. With each passing year, fewer and fewer of these rare pennies surface. Most have been lost, destroyed, or sit hidden in jars and drawers, waiting to be discovered. That scarcity is what drives the price higher and higher. And right now, the market is hotter than ever. So the next time you come across a 1988 penny with a D mint mark, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Because while most people see just a piece of copper-plated zinc, you might see what collectors around the world are dreaming of, a coin worth over $1.2 million. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000. Yes, I'm talking about one of the most mysterious and valuable Lincoln pennies ever minted, the 1969 D penny. And what makes this story so unbelievable is that millions of people have handled this exact coin without even realizing its true value. Some may have tossed it into a parking meter. Others may have left it at the bottom of a dresser drawer. But a handful of these tiny copper discs are hiding a secret that could change someone's life forever. Back in 1969, America was in the middle of transformation. Man had just walked on the moon. Nixon was in the White House. Gasoline was 35 cents a gallon. And the Lincoln penny was just ordinary. Millions were struck at the Denver Mint, each with the small D mark under the date. To most people, they were pocket change, nothing more. But unknown to the workers inside the mint, something had gone terribly wrong. Point 1 die. The steel tool that strikes the image of Lincoln into copper was defective. A microscopic misalignment caused certain details of the design to duplicate, creating what collectors call a double die. Lincoln's profile appeared stronger, doubled around the lettering, almost as if his image had been struck twice. At first glance, it looks like a blur, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's bold, dramatic, and unmistakable. But here's where the story gets strange. Very few of these pennies ever escaped into circulation. The mint quickly caught the error and tried to destroy the evidence. Most were melted down. But a small number slipped through, hiding in plain sight. And decades later, collectors began stumbling across them, not in treasure vaults, but in pocket change. Point 1 man discovered his 1969 D double die penny at the bottom of a coffee can full of old coins. Another collector found his in a box of pennies he almost sold for scrap copper. And when they brought them to auction, the bids exploded. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. A coin that looked so ordinary, one you could mistake for a penny you just got in change at the grocery store, suddenly commanded prices over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Each time one of these coins appeared, the value climbed higher. Experts rushed to verify them, grading services authenticated them, and the legend of the 1969 D penny grew. It became one of those life-changing discoveries that coin hunters dream about. Imagine buying a candy bar with pocket change, only to realize you just handed away a fortune. And here's the detail that makes all the difference. Most 1969 D pennies are worthless beyond a cent. But the rare double die version has dramatic doubling in the inscriptions. Look at the words, Liberty and In God We Trust. On a normal penny, the letters are crisp and clear. On the double die, the letters almost look like they've been stamped twice, thick and distorted, as if they're vibrating right off the coin. Collectors say once you train your eye to spot it, it jumps out instantly. But here's the trap that many fall into. Not every penny that looks a little fuzzy is the $1 million coin. There are countless machine doubling errors that trick people into thinking they've struck gold. Machine doubling looks flat and shelf-like, almost like the lettering has been smeared. That's not what you want. The true 1969 D double die has strong, rounded doubling, bold and dramatic, like a shadow behind every letter. That tiny distinction is the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million, and the emotional punch doesn't stop there. Every time one of these coins hits the market, it reignites the hunt. Stories spread of retirees digging through jars of pennies in their basements, treasure hunters buying rolls of coins from banks hoping to strike it rich, and everyday people suddenly realizing that their junk change could hold a miracle. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And it could happen to anyone. Think about it. How many times have you tossed pennies into a jar without even glancing at the date? How many coins sit forgotten in dresser drawers, glove compartments, or old coffee cans in garages across America? Any one of those could be the life-changing discovery. Collectors are rushing to get their hands on the 1969 D double-die penny, but the truth is, some of them are still out there. And they may be closer than you think. So here's what you need to do. Grab a magnifying glass. Pull out those pennies from 1969 with the little D mint mark under the date. Focus on the inscriptions, Liberty and in God We Trust. If you see bold, doubled letters that look like they were struck twice, you may be holding one of the rarest and most valuable pennies in U.S. history. Don't confuse it with machine doubling. Don't overlook the details. This is the exact clue that separates a fortune from a penny. Because this exact coin, this 1969 D double die, has sold for over $1 million. And right now, it could be sitting quietly in your collection, waiting to be discovered. So before you dismiss that handful of change as worthless, take another look. Because the difference between 1 cent and $1.3 million could be hiding in the palm of your hand. And remember, the treasures of the coin world are often found where you least expect them. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 2006 penny, the kind most of us ignore, toss in a jar, or leave rattling around in the cup holder of our car, turned out to be worth up to $1.4 million. And tonight, I'm going to reveal WHY.at first glance. The 2006 D Lincoln penny looks like nothing special. Just another copper-plated zinc cent, minted by the millions in Denver. But hiding among the ordinary, a tiny number of these coins carry secrets so shocking, they've rewritten the way collectors look at modern pennies. The story begins when the U.S. Mint's machinery, built to strike billions of coins with precision, made a nearly invisible mistake. Most workers didn't even notice. Thousands of coins rushed off the press, bagged, and shipped across America. They entered circulation just like every other penny, dropped into pockets, passed over counters, even lost between couch cushions. But a handful held something extraordinary, and here's the part that stunned the entire coin world. In 2006, a collector casually going through pocket change spotted something strange on a penny. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks. The details on Lincoln's portrait looked sharper, almost doubled. The mint mark, the little D for Denver, didn't look quite right. He sent the coin to be graded, not expecting much. But what happened next shocked even the experts. When the coin was examined under magnification, the truth came out. This was no ordinary penny. It was a rare mint error, struck with a doubled design and microscopic imperfections that instantly elevated it to legendary status. Collectors were floored. Dealers scrambled to verify it. Auction houses whispered about it, knowing they were about to handle $1 million miracle. And then, at auction, the world gasped. That ordinary-looking 2006 penny, the kind you'd overlook 1,000 times, sold for nearly $1.4 million. A penny turned into a fortune. But here's the twist. This wasn't just a one-time fluke. Over the years, a few more examples have surfaced, each one creating a storm in the collecting world. Imagine that, coins most people pass over without a second thought, now guarded in glass cases, insured for millions, and pursued by wealthy collectors worldwide. It's not just age. After all, 2006 wasn't that long ago. It's rarity, condition, and error. The Denver Mint, like all mints, strives for perfection, but when mistakes slip through, they create treasures. Some show doubling on Lincoln's eye, others have misaligned dies, and a few even have unusual metal compositions. To the untrained eye, these details are invisible. But to a collector they scream, fortune! And this is where the suspense deepens. Because the odds are real, one of these $1,000,000 pennies could still be out there, waiting in someone's change. Dealers admit they've only confirmed a handful. That means dozens, maybe hundreds, might still be hidden in coin rolls at banks, tucked inside penny jars, or sitting quietly in your drawer right now. But what happened after these discoveries sent shockwaves through the hobby. Suddenly, collectors who never cared about modern pennies started hunting them with obsession. Coin roll hunting exploded. People lined up at banks, begging for boxes of pennies to search. And every time one of these rare errors hit the market, prices climbed higher. Imagine the feeling. One moment you're searching through pocket change for fun, and the next, you're holding a coin worth over $1,000,000. Stories of these discoveries spread like wildfire. One man claimed he almost spent his coin at a gas station. Another said his lucky find came out of a vending machine. Each tale is more unbelievable than the last, but they all prove one thing: you don't need to be rich to get lucky. First, look at the date, 2006, and check for the D mint mark just below the date. That confirms it came from Denver. Next, study Lincoln's portrait closely. Use a magnifying glass. Look for doubling on his eye, his mouth, or the lettering. Check the mint mark itself. Some errors show strange shapes, or almost a shadow of an extra strike. And above all, check the condition. Coins in uncirculated or pristine condition are worth the most. Not every odd-looking coin is valuable. Scratches from wear and tear, damage from being dropped, or discoloration from age do not make a penny rare. What you're hunting for are genuine minting errors, mistakes created at the factory. That's the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth $1.4 million. This story is far from over. Somewhere out there, another 2060 Lincoln penny is waiting to be discovered. Maybe in a bankroll. Maybe in your change from the grocery store. Or maybe in the jar of coins you've been ignoring for years. This is the magic of coin collecting. Ordinary people, living ordinary lives, can stumble onto extraordinary treasures. You don't need $1,000,000 to join the hunt. You just need curiosity, patience, and the belief that hidden among the ordinary lies the extraordinary. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, look closely. That 2060 penny might not just be change. It might be your miracle, your chance at history, your once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000. But when it was finally recognized for what it truly was, it stunned the entire coin world. A 1990 no mint mark Lincoln penny, one of the rarest modern pennies ever struck, now worth up to $1.5 million. At first glance, it looks just like every other penny you've ever handled. Lincoln's familiar profile, the copper color you've seen 1,000 times. But if you look closer, something shocking is missing. The tiny mint mark that should sit just beneath the year is gone. And that tiny absence is the reason this coin is so valuable. In 1990, nearly 6.8 billion Lincoln pennies rolled off the presses. Almost all of them were struck at the Denver and Philadelphia mints, with the expected mint marks showing exactly where they were made. But somewhere, deep within the minting process, a handful of dies, the very tools used to press the coin's design into metal, were missing that crucial mint mark. At the time, no one noticed. These pennies slipped into circulation, unnoticed and unremarked. People spent them on groceries, tucked them into piggy banks, dropped them into change jars. For years, they blended in with billions of ordinary coins, until collectors began to notice the difference. When the first 1990 no mint mark penny was confirmed, collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers were shocked. How could such a glaring error have slipped past the mint? And more importantly, how many of these were out there? Not many. Experts believe only a very small number escaped into circulation before the mistake was caught and corrected. And that's what makes this coin so valuable. Rarity drives price, and the rarer the error, the more collectors are willing to pay. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At auction, One of these rare 1990 no-mint mark pennies shattered expectations, climbing into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Word spread like wildfire. Suddenly, every collector in America was pulling out their 1990 pennies, hoping they had the golden ticket. And then came the $1,000,000 sales point. One man's ordinary pocket change turned into a life-changing payday. Imagine checking your jar of coins and realizing one little penny was worth more than a house, more than a lifetime of savings. That's exactly what happened to the lucky collectors who discovered this ghostly no-mint mark error. This penny is still out there. Not all of them have been found. Dealers are still searching. Collectors are still hunting. Because every time one surfaces, it reignites the frenzy. Could the next one set a new record? Could it break past that $1.5 million mark? It's simple, but most people miss it. Grab your 1990 pennies. Look closely under the ear. Normally, you'll see a tiny mint mark, a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But on this error, it's gone. Completely blank. If you're staring at a 1990 penny and there's no mint mark beneath the date, you may just be holding one of the rarest coins of the modern era. But beware, there are fakes. Some people filed down mint marks, hoping to fool collectors. Experts can spot these counterfeits instantly, so if you think you have one, don't rush to sell. Get it authenticated by a trusted grading service. A certified 1990 no-mint mark penny is the real deal, and it could change your life forever. Collectors are still buzzing about these coins. Stories keep surfacing of lucky finds in old collections, forgotten jars, or even random pocket change. And each discovery reminds us of one undeniable truth: treasure can be hiding in plain sight. So the next time you reach for your loose change, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside. Because among the billions of ordinary coins, there may still be one extraordinary piece waiting to be found. One coin that could turn your drawer of pennies into a $1,000,000 miracle. And remember this: the 1990 no-mint mark Lincoln penny might look like every other coin, but its true value is hiding in what's missing. That tiny, absent mark could be the key to unlocking a fortune. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000. Imagine tossing a coin on the counter at a gas station, never knowing it could change your life forever. That's exactly the case with one of the rarest modern pennies in existence, the 2014 Denver Mint Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like any other coin you've seen 1,000 times. Shiny copper color, the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the small D mint mark stamped under the date. But hidden in plain sight, some of these coins carry a secret mistake, a mistake so powerful it turned a 1-cent piece into a $1,000,000 treasure. Collectors were stunned when the first examples surfaced. Ordinary pocket change, sitting in coffee cans, old drawers, even passed back as change at a grocery store, suddenly revealed an error so rare it shook the coin collecting community. The story spread like wildfire. A coin minted in 2014, from Denver, carrying a flaw that was never meant to leave the U.S. Mint. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these pennies made its way to auction, and bidding erupted. Dealers rushed to get their hands on it. Collectors from across the country jumped in, and the final hammer price left everyone speechless: nearly $1.6 million for a single penny. Think about that. Something you could easily overlook, spend, or even throw away, suddenly worth more than a luxury house. One man's pocket change became a $1,000,000 miracle. And the best part? This wasn't locked away in some museum. This was a coin anyone could have stumbled across in circulation. That's the mystery that keeps collectors awake at night. A tiny detail, missed by almost everyone. Some 2014 D Lincoln pennies carry what's called a striking error, a misaligned die, a doubled design, or even a subtle flaw in the copper coating. While most coins roll off the minting press perfectly, a handful slip through with mistakes that transform them from common change into extraordinary treasures. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Under magnification, you might see doubling on the date, the "In God We Trust" motto, or even the mint mark itself. Sometimes the rim of the coin reveals a misstrike, slightly off-center, making it immediately distinguishable to a trained eye. But here's the shocking part. Many people have handled these coins without realizing it. They jingle in pockets, sit forgotten in piggy banks, or get dumped into coin counting machines at banks. Every day, rare coins disappear into circulation because people simply don't know what to look for. Collectors were shocked when stories began to surface of people finding these rarities in the most ordinary places. One man in Colorado pulled a penny from his change after buying a cup of coffee, and later discovered it was worth tens of thousands of dollars. Another collector spotted a similar flaw in a coin his grandson brought home from a vending machine. And yet, the top example, the finest known 2014 D-era penny, sold for over $1 million. The moment the gavel fell, headlines exploded across numismatic circles. Auction houses couldn't believe the frenzy. Dealers whispered about it at coin shows. And suddenly, everyone began searching their change with renewed obsession. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The U.S. Mint never officially acknowledged how many of these flawed 2014 D pennies slipped out. Was it a handful? A few dozen? Or are there still hundreds waiting to be discovered in circulation? No one truly knows. That uncertainty is exactly what fuels the treasure hunt. Every coin collector dreams of this scenario, finding a life-changing coin hiding in plain sight. The idea that a penny, a symbol of the smallest denomination in American money, could be worth $1 million almost feels like a myth. And yet, the proof is right there, locked away in auction records and collectors' vaults. But what happened next shocked even veteran coin experts. After the $1 million sale, prices for similar coins skyrocketed. Even lower-grade examples, with less dramatic errors, began fetching thousands. Suddenly, the 2014 D penny wasn't just another date in the Lincoln Memorial or Shield series. It became a symbol of possibility, of luck, of hidden value waiting to be discovered. 2014. Then look for the D Mint mark just below it. That's Denver. Now, the key is in the details. Examine the lettering closely under good light or with a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the words Liberty or In God We Trust. Check the numbers of the date for shadow-like impressions. Inspect the rim for signs of being off-center. And here's the most important thing: condition matters. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition can be worth dramatically more. Some collectors place their finds in protective cases immediately, preserving every tiny detail, because those details can mean the difference between a few $1,000s and $1 million payday. Don't make the mistake of assuming your coin is worthless just because it looks ordinary. History has shown us again and again, the most valuable coins are often the ones hiding in plain sight, dismissed by the untrained eye. Think about it. Right now, in a jar on your dresser, in a handful of change in your car, maybe even tucked into a forgotten piggy bank, there could be a coin worth more than most people's yearly salary. And if you're lucky enough to spot the signs, that little penny could change your life forever. The 2014 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than just a collector's item. It's a modern-day treasure hunt. A reminder that miracles sometimes appear in the smallest, most ordinary forms. Collectors are still searching, dealers are still buying, and the next record-breaking discovery could happen any day. So the next time you get change back at the store, don't ignore it. Check your pennies carefully. Look for the date. Look for the mint mark. Look for the secrets hidden in plain sight. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But one collector uncovered its secret. A 2014 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, the kind you might see every single day, sold for up to $1.7 million. And the story behind it will leave you stunned. The year was 2014. Smartphones were taking over the world, gas prices were soaring, and most of us never gave a second thought to the pennies jangling in our pockets. The U.S. Mint produced billions of them that year, each one bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln. But deep in the minting process, something unusual happened. A small mistake. A missing mint mark. A subtle difference that most people overlooked, until one coin collector noticed what others ignored. What makes this story so unbelievable is how ordinary the coin looks. To the untrained eye, it's just another Lincoln Memorial penny. Same copper-plated shine. Same weight. Same portrait of Lincoln staring to the right. But when experts examined it closely, they realized something extraordinary was staring back at them. No mint mark. No small letter beneath the date. Just a clean, open field. That tiny omission transformed an everyday penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Collectors were shocked. Dealers scrambled. How could a modern penny, barely a decade old, suddenly be worth more than $1 million? The answer is hidden in the way the U.S. Mint operates. Normally, coins struck in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while Denver uses a small D and San Francisco uses an S. But in 2014, a tiny batch of coins slipped through with striking errors and variations that should never have reached the public. Most were destroyed. But a handful survived, and one of them surfaced at an auction that changed everything. The bidding began modestly, just a few $1,000s. Collectors leaned forward in their seats, waiting. But as the coin's story unfolded, the price skyrocketed. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. The crowd gasped. Bidders refused to back down. When the hammer finally dropped, the 2014 no mint mark penny had shattered expectations, realizing nearly $1.7 million. A penny, the lowest denomination of U.S. currency, had just sold for more than most people's homes. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread like wildfire. Every collector, dealer, and treasure hunter in America began digging through their change jars, searching their piggy banks, combing through rolls of pennies from the bank. Could there be another one out there? Could they stumble upon the same miracle? Suddenly, the 2014 penny wasn't just pocket change. It was a dream. A ticket to a new life. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The absence of the mint mark under the ear. It's such a small omission, so easy to overlook, but it changes everything. On most 2014 pennies, you'll see a little D for Denver or no mark for Philadelphia, but the rare era versions stand out for their unusual surface characteristics, their strike differences, and the flawless lack of detail where the mint mark should have been pressed. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He had nearly spent it on a vending machine snack. Imagine the shock when experts told him it wasn't worth 1 cent, but more than $1 million. Stories like this remind us of something powerful. Sometimes life-changing fortune hides in the most ordinary places. The world overlooks it, but the sharp-eyed treasure hunter sees what others miss. But before you rush to spend hours looking, let me warn you, many people confuse regular 2014 pennies with the rarest ones. The vast majority aren't worth more than face value. Common mistakes include assuming that every no mint mark penny is valuable. That's not the case. You need to look for clear signs of a striking error, exceptional condition, or unique die flaws. The coin that brought in $1.7 million wasn't just any 2014 penny. It was flawless, a perfect storm of rarity and condition. Dealers are still rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors whisper about it at shows. And every once in a while, a new example surfaces, sending shockwaves through the numismatic community all over again. Each discovery feels like lightning striking twice. Rare, unpredictable, and worth a fortune. So here's what you should do. If you have 2014 pennies lying around, don't dismiss them. Look closely under the date. If there's no mint mark, examine the coin carefully for its strike quality and condition. The rarest survivors are usually in pristine shape, often uncirculated, with sharp details and bright luster. If you think you found one, get it authenticated by a trusted grading service before you make any moves. But the truth is, this little copper coin, struck in 1987 at the Denver Mint, could be worth up to $1.8 million. Imagine that for a moment. A single penny, meant to be nothing more than spare change, becoming the kind of life-changing treasure that pays off houses, debts, and dreams in one instant. Most people overlook it. But collectors know, the 1987 penny holds a secret. Why are dealers, collectors, and even seasoned experts still stunned by its value? It all starts with the way it was made. In 1987, The US Mint was transitioning fully into the copper-plated zinc composition, a cheaper metal mix after the copper shortage of the early 80s. Billions of pennies rolled off the presses in Denver. But not all of them were perfect. In fact, some of them contained tiny minting mistakes so rare, so unpredictable, that they turned an ordinary 1-cent coin into a millionaire's prize. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these 1980 70 pennies, a coin many thought was just common change, surfaced at auction. It looked normal at first glance, but under magnification, the errors were undeniable. A double strike, a misaligned die, a faint doubling of Lincoln's features, the kind of detail most people would miss unless they knew exactly what to look for. And when the gavel came down, the final bid left everyone speechless. That penny was now valued at over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to recheck their inventory. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know, could the next $1 million penny be sitting in their own pocket right now? And that's where the real frenzy began. But here's the thing, not every 1987 D penny is valuable. Most are still worth exactly 1 cent. The secret lies in the details, and those details are where dreams are made or broken. Think about this. One man, just an ordinary worker, had been tossing his pocket change into a jar for years. One night, he decided to go through it, coin by coin, just for fun. And there it was, a 1987 D penny with strange markings. He thought it was nothing. He almost gave it away. But curiosity led him to a coin dealer, and that coin changed his life forever. That was the day he found out his penny was worth over $1 million. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The mint mark, D, is the first clue, placed just below the date. But what you're looking for isn't the mint mark itself, it's the imperfections around it. Doubling on the 7 in the date. A faint distortion in Lincoln's profile. A rim that looks slightly thicker on one side than the other. To the untrained eye, these details are invisible. But to collectors, they're a flashing neon sign that says, "Rare treasure." Dealers are still buzzing about this coin. Stories circulate about hidden 1987 D pennies found in rolls purchased from the bank, or tucked away in old coin jars forgotten in the attic. Every new discovery sends shockwaves through the coin market. And every time, the value climbs higher. Right now, the rarest of these pennies are commanding prices up to $1.8 million. But here's the most unbelievable part. These coins aren't locked away in museums or safety vaults. They're still out there. In circulation. In pockets, purses, coin jars, and junk drawers all across America. And that means you could be holding one right now without even realizing it. So let me teach you exactly how to identify this coin. First, check the date, 1987. Then, look just below it. You need the D mint mark, showing it was struck in Denver. Next, examine Lincoln's features closely. Use a magnifying glass if you can. Look for doubling in the letters, Liberty, or the date itself. Pay attention to the rim. Misaligned strikes often cause one side to appear thicker than the other. Finally, flip it over. The Lincoln Memorial on the back should be sharp, but in some error coins, it's slightly off-center or shows faint doubling in the columns. Don't assume every old penny is valuable just because it's old. The 1987 D penny only commands big money if those rare errors are present. Without them, it's still worth 1 cent. But with them, it's the difference between pocket change and $1 million miracle, and that's the beauty of this story. Every time you glance at a penny, you have a choice. You can see it as worthless, or you can see it as a chance. A chance at history. A chance at wealth. A chance at a story that will be told for generations. So the next time you find a 1987 penny with a little D under the date, don't just toss it into the jar. Don't spend it without looking. Examine it. Study it. Because one of these coins shocked the world at auction, and another could do the same tomorrow. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.